Welcome back to another episode of Moto Skills Factory, and today we're going to talk about an interesting topic. Sascha has just spent a couple thousand kilometers on the 701 Husqvarna, so we're going to compare that to his Tenere 700. We've made a few videos about that already. At face value, you might think these are really different bikes. However, they are both about 700cc, and they're both about 70 horsepower. The difference in weight is about 140 kg versus about 190 kg. And the price difference is a couple of $1,000 or euros or that kind of thing. So there is actually people who will be looking at these two bikes wondering, which bike should I get? So what are your thoughts about that?
The Tenere is already a pretty small bike compared to some bigger adventure bikes. 701 is just something different, right? I mean, it's not an EXC or a TE, but it is, compared to proper adventure bikes, it's basically like a bicycle. It was really nice riding in the Morocco desert, in the Portugal sand, and it was really nice to ride. You didn't really have to worry so much about the weight, and basically flick around as much as you want to. Buying the stock 701 Enduro, it's not going to be the end. You don't have any wind protection. If you want to do a little more dual sport in the mountains, low speed, that doesn't make any difference. But if you want to also travel a bit further away, you need something like a rally tower. We opted for Raid Garage rally towers, which cost around about 1,100 euros. Really nicely made. Carbon and everything was really good, which was much more comfortable to ride. We added some crash bars, some beefier skid plates, some engine protection and stuff. And after that, it got really nice to ride. One big difference would be a 701 or a 690 or the 700 gas. Unless you plan to only ride in the woods or at low speed, that's not going to be it. Right? You will have to spend more money on something that would protect you from the winds just a little bit more. One thing that you have to keep in mind is the seat. I've never ridden such a hard seat in my whole life before. I have a rally seat on my Tenere, which feels pretty hard. After that month of riding on that 701, I got back, and the first time I got on my Tenere, it felt like a couch. Michael, who rode the other 701, he bought a seat from Concept Seats, and he didn't have any problems. He felt it was pretty comfortable. I ended up with a Liet underpants with some paddings, and that made it more bearable. The seat is good if you ride it hard. On road and off road, you don't feel anything. But if you're cruising on the road for more than 20 minutes, be prepared for some back pain. And it was really intense. However, also, since the Concept seat is shaped a little bit wider, starting from in the middle, I personally think once you go really hardcore off-road riding, that width might be maybe effective, because the stock round seat will allow you more smoother movements to flip the bike underneath you. But that's just my thought, maybe.
No, it's definitely true. So I made a video on my channel about seat upgrades and things, and I had a seat Concept seat on my SMR 510, and I actually realized later that I had more off-road ability with a stock seat. I prefer a grippy cover that kind of keeps your butt in place, because then you can actually move the bike around. The grippy cover is really nice, but having that slope down gives you more options when you're moving around on the bike, and then you're not so stuck in one place. The width, while it's nice to hold on with your knees of the seat Concept seat, it gives you some padding for your knees. It also limits how much you can move around.
Okay.
And when you're in rocks and technical things, and you need to dab, it just makes it that much farther to get to the ground and things of that nature. So there's definitely a trade-off there. So in comparison, how's the stock Yamaha Tenere seat?
It's also not that great, but for me, I have the biggest issue with the V-shaped Yamaha design. Especially after riding the 701, having a more straight seat is I really like that, because it's all flat. You can, like you said, you have more room to move around, even though the stock seat on the Tenere is also flat, but it is at an angle. So
Yeah.
if I want to
And we made a video about that.
Exactly.
I'll put that in the pop out there.
Right.
If you can check that out. So let's talk about gearing for a second, because one thing that you can make, one big change you can make to single cylinder bikes to make them go fast, on the highway cruising, is change the gearing. Did you guys need to do that?
No, we didn't change any gearing. We just rode them stock, and they were fine. Yeah, if you want to go more competitive, whatever, then you're going to play with the gearings. For us, it was not. At no point did we think, okay, we have to change something. Yeah, sometimes we thought maybe here and there it could be a little bit different, but I mean, you can use riding skills to adjust a little more. I was just a little bit underwhelmed by the 701, because a lot of people, they're like, oh, it's so powerful, whatever. When we really opened the throttle, maybe it's my weight, I don't know, but it pulled similar to the Tenere in low RPMs. To me, at least, makes it a very predictable engine, which doesn't really surprise you, where all of a sudden all the power comes out and you just pop wheelies all the time. To me, it was a very, very transparent engine. Sometimes I wish it could have had just a little bit more, but it was good. It did its job, and at no point did I really feel, okay, I need 20, 30 horsepower more, whatever. I mean, there is a difference between the 701 and, for example, the 890 or the 1290, whatever, in power-wise, power segment there. But the thing that the 701 really shines is the nimbleness, and that was really, really nice having that. And compared to the 701, the 701 is also very top heavy. You have the tank more in the back on the 701, which really, really, especially in sand, to me, it's a positive aspect.
Yeah, so I rode the Tenere 700, and the weight is quite high. The tank sits high, and it's unwieldy. When you come to a stop, it can be quite intimidating. But that 701, the Husqvarna, the tank is down under the seat, and
Right.
it really lowers that
Yeah.
weight, and it makes it a lot more approachable. And then just going back to the engine, they've made a lot of refinements to that engine, over recent years, since like 2018, I guess. An extra balancer shaft, smoothing it out. How did you feel about, doing long days on a single versus a twin?
That single is really, really well behaved. Vibration wise, it's fine. I don't know. It's like I could do all day long rides. The only thing is, if you're on an expressway, a highway, freeway, and you want to go faster than 120, that's when you kind of feel, okay, that's maybe something that you don't want to do too long. I prefer low RPMs as it is. On road, off road, most of the time I stay below 4,000. If I have to exceed 4,000, I stay below 6,000. And the only time I go over 6,000 is when I go maybe sand riding, and even then, after I've been in high RPMs, I got some momentum, I try to keep the RPMs low again. So in that perspective, the Tenere engine would be a nicer engine for longer trips, because it's just very, very smooth. It has a lot of torque on the bottom, which a little bit reminds me of a 1290. You can ride it basically all day long in fourth gear. and this is something really really nice about the Tenere. But yeah, the 701 is just like you said, the difference about 50 kilograms. It does make a difference, right? So, but the engine is very very smooth, right? I would like to add also, because just now we were talking about the tank. One thing that was really, really bad, and Michael did a lot of research in that department, is the tank cap. It is garbage, like for a better word, because it is when you have the bike new or absolutely clean at home, you need to use your key to open it up, and that key is already very flimsy. So you open it up, you have to twist it, and it feels like that key is gonna snap any moment, and that is when it's clean, absolutely clean. Now imagine going out off-road riding with sand and dust and mud, whatever, it will break off in no time. So Michael did a lot of research, and we changed the whole set. Now obviously we couldn't lock it anymore, but it was just a very very simple system where you just screw it open. That's it. But I was really happy that he did that change, because we would definitely end up with a broken key, and then we cannot ride and we cannot gas it up anymore.
All right, so let's talk about the suspension, because the suspension has been something about the Tenere that you're really not that happy with. No. And I suspect that a lot of that $2,000 in the Husqvarna goes into suspension.
Yeah, I know. It's like the suspension is so much better than the Tenere. But I'm sorry to say this, I think any suspension is better than the Tenere stock suspension. But no, it's I was happy with the suspension. It was a little bit low, soft for me, but I'm more on the heavier side. Speaking of the suspension, I could never get on the bike and then kick up the kickstand. I could never do this, because at that point when I got on the bike got a little bit lower, and the kickstand would kind of get stuck. And so every single time, there was no time where I could do it. Every single time I had to kick up the kickstand and then basically bicycle style jump onto the bike, right? Or when I come to a stop, I first jumped off the bike and then engaged the kickstand, right? Michael changed his bike to the X-Roll Pro suspension with stiffer springs. He never had that problem. So, but that was the only bigger issue I had with the suspension. While
but
riding,
when you were riding, did it feel like it was riding too low?
That's what I was about to say. Like while riding, I was fine. I've in the sand, I've adjusted it a little bit more, and that caused me to ride a little bit faster, a little more confidence. The suspension was really nice. It's fully adjustable, and it's much better than the Tenere's.
So yeah, when you're thinking about price, you're probably going to spend $1,100 or so on a rally tower, but then you don't have to spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a suspension like you would with the Tenere.
Yep.
So they get to be way more comparable when you really take that into consideration. If you want the Tenere to ride at speed and off road the way that the 701 does, you're gonna spend some money.
Right. No, to me, basically, if you want to be even more off-road biased, the 701 will be a better choice. If you want to have more healthy 50-50 bias, whatever, 50% on-road, 50% off-road, the Tenere as well will make you very, very happy, right? So it is hard to say, because the smaller size, the lower weight, whatever, it all comes with a price though, right? And in those areas, the Tenere will shine, right? So if you will ride the 701, you want to do more off-road with it, and you should, right?
Reliability is going to come up as a thing, and Yamaha has a better reputation.
Talking about reliability, Michael's bike in Portugal unfortunately broke down, and the slave cylinder just broke, and that was it, right? Luckily he was able to still use first gear, because we were like way in the sand, So he was lucky to ride out in first gear, but that was it. It's something that has happened to few people already. Yeah, so this is something that you might want to look into and maybe change your clutch system to something better.
Yeah.
This is something that's
and for those who don't know, those bikes run fluid in the clutch. So when you pull the lever, it pushes on a master cylinder that pushes on a slave cylinder, and most of the Japanese bikes run cable system. And there's pros and cons to that. Obviously, a cable is eventually going to break. I've had a cable break before on me, and it's not fun. However, the reason that these European bikes go with hydraulic is because of how light the pull is. It gives you a lighter pull with better control over the clutch. And I'm not sure which one they run in that, but generally it's Brembo or Magura.
Yep.
Like those are the two
Right.
that are run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one thing. Another thing that was quite annoying that happened to both Michael and me quite sometimes was the traction control would just engage itself. Numerous times, and most of the time it happened in soft sand. So we've been riding with the traction control switched off, and then all of a sudden you hear how the RPMs just dropped, and you could feel the traction control engaging, and out of nowhere. And it happened, I would say for me at least 10 times, and Michael probably about the same. And so this was really annoying. So eventually, Michael researched, and it's like a lot of people, they just put a spacer between the ABS sensor and the mount, and which increases the distance, so they cannot read it anymore. So you're probably gonna get an error sign, flash, whatever. And but yeah.
So would that make your ABS also not work?
Yeah, I mean,
Or
to me, it's
rear.
Yeah, rear also, like nothing. You have nothing in the back anymore. It didn't really happen so much on trails though, all right? But in the sand, it happened a lot of times. In Morocco, it would happen almost every single day.
Well, it's the price you pay for more complexity and more electronics, and it's one reason the Tenere 700 is so attractive to many people who are not fans of electronics, because it has ABS and that's it. The screen, looks like it came from 2005 or something. It's really basic stuff, but you get those payback in reliability because of the simplicity of that bike. And the Husky 701 is, as adventure bikes go, if you compare it to the rest of the adventure bikes, it is pretty simple. It has a couple of ride modes, it has ABS, it has traction control, right? And that's about it. You had to bring the dongle to disconnect the kickstand switch.
Right. At one point, we were riding for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and I just heard that thump, and a rock just got kicked up by my front wheel, and then a second and a half later, the engine died, and yeah, I knew it was the kickstand sensor.
Sascha.
In the middle of nowhere, hit a rock, boing. Next second, engine cut out. So we know what that means. Perfect angle hit the kickstand sensor. Michael thought of that, so he bought two dongles. Yesterday or 2 days ago, we were doing some maintenance on the bikes, and these two things fell into my hands. So good foresight by Michael, and maybe a little fate from up there. So I brought them with us because when things fall in my hand, maybe sometimes it has a reason. So perfect, we don't have to go back. Found the plug, 5 minutes, ready to go again. So apparently, yeah, hot wiring, those wires will not work on the 701 because it's just, too much electronics, I guess. You have to prepare a dongle just in case, unless you like pushing your bike. But yeah, we got riding, I don't know, we were done like within 10 minutes.
but it does take some forethought, because that is something that you could very easily damage in a rut, or you know, kicking a stone up.
Yeah.
Those you know, are a known thing with street bikes. Most enduro bikes don't have a kickstand switch for that reason. I think you had a situation with another KTM doing a river crossing where it died in the river because of the switch as well. So if you're thinking about getting a 701 or really any adventure bike and you want to take it off road, that's definitely something you're gonna have to think about.
The kickstand of the 7-1 is more, you know, enduro type, you know, style. So it's very hard to forget to take care of the kickstand and just ride off.
Yeah, and if you're doing remote touring like that in Morocco, you should be riding with somebody else as well. Some people don't, though. Some people do it alone, and you know, you had the Garmin backup and things of that nature. And so no matter what you're riding, whether it's a Yamaha or whatever, things can break. And if you're that remote, then you need to have a plan B in place.
Right.
You need to have the Garmin in reach or something of that nature, the spot thing that you can push and get help, because you really don't want to die in the desert.
No.
Because of a switch, like, or anything on the bike, you know.
Now, if it takes you, let's say, an hour to ride back home, imagine how long it's going to take you to walk back home. You know? And if you don't have enough water with you, it is going to be a long walk.
Yeah. So if you have any more questions, throw those in the comments below.
If you like adventure riding, but you're more on the off-road side, you don't have to spend so much time on the road, go for a 701. If you want to have both, the Tenere is going to make you really, really happy.
Like and subscribe, and join us again next time on Moto Skills Factory.
Got me too.